Well, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Ella Thorpe from Tustin Longevity Center. This is our Monday night Ask the Doctor, and we are a group of 5 clinicians here at Tustin Longevity Center in Tustin, California. And we have made this YouTube with chat, so if you have a question, type in your question on the chat, and I'll try to get to it. And we've done this because we enjoy creating another venue for our patients to be able to ask about how a integrative functional medicine doctor would approach their symptoms and what we might do about them. We are standard trained medical doctors, allopathic, and we have naturopathic physicians and gynecologist and a nurse practitioner, all who have been here for many years and are very good at doing a comprehensive evaluation, focusing on prevention of disease, but also with trying to restore health in those who have problems. So we meet every Monday night at 6 o'clock, and then we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. Sometimes people will email us their question, and you can do that by sending your email to office@tlcdoctors.com. That's plural for doctors, office@tlcdoctors.com, and then the staff will get it to me. We also have a Ask the Doctor questions on Wednesday mornings before I start seeing patients at 9:45 in the morning. You don't have to be a patient here to jump on and ask questions, and hopefully we can address them. As a general practitioner, I see everything, so it might be a good idea to get the idea of the breadth and depth of what a general practitioner family doctor can do. Of course, we use our consultants as needed, but our goal is to try and prevent disease and therefore not need them as much. So let's begin today. I don't have a question. I don't have a joke. Let's see, trying to scroll this up to get to the top here, the first question. There we go. I guess I do have a joke, but it's not a medical joke. It was so cold in Washington, D.C. today that I saw the politicians have his hands in his own pockets. So I thought that was funny. Anyway, so there's the joke for you. And what we want to do is come up with a name. Some of you have been emailing me or writing me or texting me your names for our little group here. We have the Health Warriors, and we have TLC Health Warriors, and then we have Medical Freedom Health Warriors. And so if you have a clever idea of what our group is, because many of you are recurrent, and so it'd be nice to call us a little group, maybe. That would be fun. So text me your name. Put it in the comment section below. You can put questions there as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with your family and friends. So the first question this evening is from Sean. Hi, Dr. E. Hi, back to you, Sean. Can you discuss cooking with beef tallow, lard, and coconut oil? Any benefits of one over the other? Currently using grass-fed butter, ghee, and coconut oil. Thank you so much. I use grass-fed butter, and I use coconut oil and beef tallow and lard, if you want to call that. And I feel that all these saturated fats are superior when you're frying or cooking anything in a pan or baking. I always use that for my baking instead of using those spray can oils of olive oil or avocado oil. I've tried them, but it's still it's giving you another source of trans fatty high polyunsaturated fat that is being damaged. And so I really think we should learn to cook with saturated fats I don't think there's one better than the other in the saturated fats. And there is no perfect saturated fat. I mean, even in butter, you're going to have a tiny bit of maybe some monounsaturates in there. The same for ghee, coconut oil, and beef tallow. So the mere fact that you're doing that, Sean, is showing that you're trying to live a healthier preventative lifestyle in which you're getting processed foods out, because eating out at restaurants is a surefire way to gradually build yourself up with these horrible fats that get inculcated into the cell membranes and mess up their receptors and the cell wall functions. So I don't know that there's any measurable difference against one over the other. Maybe in the taste, but I'm so proud of you for doing that. Amela says, hi, Dr. E. Hi, back to you, Amela. Is it true that too much of thyroid meds can weaken your bones? That's based on the fact that if you have hyperthyroidism that is not treated, then that increased metabolism may be associated with increased total body cellular function and demineralization and calcium transport out of your bones. If you're taking, as I am, a whole glandular thyroid, I use 6 grains a day, but it will give me a peak, which is above some of the reference ranges, and then it'll drop all day long. Then the next morning it'll peak. So I am not in a sustained scenario of continued metabolic drive. And so in the decades, 40 years of practicing medicine, I have never seen bone health, bone demineralization from thyroid replacement therapy. Rather, thyroid replacement therapy that is monitored to see the peak and the trough, and that's what I do. I typically have my patients do it right after they've taken their morning thyroid so I can see the peak. And then sometime later on, when we recheck it months later, or maybe the next year, we'll do a trough, and we can see the ranges. I'm always checking calcium, I'm doing bone densities, and I've never seen that happen. So there's the disease of hyperthyroidism that is a sustained excessive T3 metabolic drive that can potentially create some demineralization of the bones. But I have never seen it in well-monitored prescription therapies. So there you have it. Now, when I went through medical school in the 70s, my mentor used Armour Thyroid probably the most. And he was always using, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 grains of thyroid. And he had done very, very well with that. So I'm very familiar with that, even from his decades of experience. The levothyroxine is just the precursor T4, and that depends on you having a good enzymatic conversion into the T3 for the active thyroid, whereas whole glandular provides a banquet of thyroid support material for your metabolism. So hopefully that answers your question. And I just want to point out, I was looking today at one of my bone densities. This is on a woman who is 80 years old, and I have her on thyroid, and her bone density over a 8-year period of time I've been watching her has gradually been improving, where her spine in 2012 was a minus 2.2, and now it's a minus 1.3. So I've almost built her up a whole point of strength. Her total hips on the left, she was a minus 0.7. Now she's 0. And then she was on the right, a minus 1.2. Now she's a minus 0.5. So you can see we are monitoring the bones, and I know she's on thyroid, and she's in her 80s, and you can easily build up. Hopefully that's a help to you and a reassurance, Amela. Debbie, hi, Debbie. She says, hello, Dr. Rita. What do you think of castor oil as a moisturizer on your face and neck? Thank you. Castor oil, I'm not sure if I would, the name is throwing me off. Let me see here just a moment. Let me recheck what castor oil is. I'm trying to find the makeup of the fat. There it is, Wikipedia. Castor oil is a vegetable oil pressed from castor beans. It's a colorless pale yellow. Boiling point is 313, so it includes triglycerides, oleic, linoleics. So it looks like it has some of the essential oils in it. It's used mostly for constipation. Yeah, it's made mostly of richolenic, which is a different type of fatty acid. Oleic, linoleic is a very small component. Alpha-linolenic is very small. So it's kind of a composite of oils with triglycerides. I don't really have an opinion on that. I do know it is marketed. It is marketed for topical treatment. And I know there are castor oil packs and poultices that have been used to try and help dispense fat-soluble agents into the body for illnesses. It's an old remedy. So it's mostly foreign fatty acids that are not valuable to your health. And so I don't have a comment. If you keep it topically, it's probably safe. So Debbie, I see the advertisements there where it's for beauty and skincare. So I think it's reasonable. I don't know that I would be taking it orally. They had given it for constipation. I don't think I would recommend it for that. I would rather see you use something you essentially need, which is linolenic and alpha-linoleic acid, and that's in our parent essential oils. So topically, okay. Let's see. SM says, good evening, Dr. Ellithorpe. What is the best way to treat helminthiasis, parasites in the small intestine? Well, I would see which they are, and there are anti-worm medications. One of them, you've been hearing a lot about in the news, is the ivermectin. There are other medications that are designed to kill off hookworm and tapeworm and things like this. So there are also a variety of herbal treatments, caprylic acid, walnut seed extract, grape seed extract, silver, Argentine silver, and so forth. So I think what I would do if you're having this concern, I would get a stool analysis so that we can kind of narrow down what type of parasite we're dealing with. Remember, worms are one thing. Those are the helminths. Parasites are other things in protozoan. And so they're not treated all equally. The herbal remedies out there, like I have the one, what do we call ours? Ours is called, what is ours called? I don't see it right now. Oh, intestinal. The name of ours is intestinal, and intestinal has oregano oil, clove oil, thyme oil. These are all anti-helminth and protozoan. And then we have Candicid forte against the yeast and other protozoans. It's got the caprylic, it's got zinc, it's got berberine, cinnamon, ginger, oregano, leaf again, pau d'arco, rosemary, and German chamomile. So these have been very good. They're both put out by Orthomolecular, which are very good products. And then I would follow the instructions on that. But see a physician and have a complete digestive stool analysis, and they'll actually do sensitivity testing for these with a natural as well. And then the next thing is we have Debbie says, I thought I recently heard you say that cooking veggies is better than raw. Correct. But I thought that cooking destroys the good enzymes in vegetables. Can you clarify? Thank you. Well, it's kind of 6 of one and half a dozen of another. The older you get, you help your digestion if you cook your vegetables, because the older you get, you don't make the enzymes that you need as well to digest food. And therefore, cooking them is a help to this. Yes, the enzymes in food are destroyed, so I'm not saying turn them into a pulp. But I think if you help steam your vegetables or lightly blanch them, this is helpful. Primarily, I would hope that you would be on a orthodigestive enzyme, some supportive thing like that to help you with your digestion. Instead of taking food in a blender, and many people will put vegetables and fruit in a blender, which makes the glycemic index go way up, even though they're good foods. So the accessibility of just the mechanical pre-digestion is so making the starches and fruit sugar available that I think these fresh foods that people are blending is becoming problematic as far as diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and insulin insensitivity, insulin resistance. So we would encourage people, at least in America, where I would say almost half Americans now are obese or overweight, that we need to be looking at ways to encourage them to stay away from so much fruit and vegetables, and to be consuming more protein and fatty material. There's 9 calories of energy in a gram of fat. There's only 4 in a protein or a carbohydrate. So we are eating so many calories and so much volume, and most of this is in processed and in fact drinkable type sugars, that I'm very concerned for the health. Remember, sugar stimulates insulin. Insulin stimulates as a growth factor, fat growth, fat cell enlargement of the triglycerides, and tumors to grow. So yes, I do encourage you to cook your vegetables to aid in digestion. Yes, you do lose some of the enzymes, but in general, I would say that the net result, the older you get, is better. So that's kind of like in medicine, you're always doing trade-offs, but we're living in such a processed, high-carb, drinkable carbohydrate society. I have to be very tough with myself and my patients on these things. All right, so hopefully that kind of helps you. So you're not wrong for eating a raw vegetable, celery, a carrot, broccoli in a sour cream and onion dip. It's not wrong. It's just the older you get, it's going to be hard on your digestion. And the fiber, of course, is very valuable, and it's a useful thing, but you'll still get the fiber in the cooked ones. Deanne says, Dr. Rita, these sessions with you have been invaluable. Thank you so much. Well, Deanne, I really appreciate that. And again, share it with your family and friends. Hopefully, it'll be a support to them as well, and an encouragement. This way, you know how serious we believe here at Intestinal Longevity Center. We want to be connected with you. We want to go through life with you to help you understand how dangerous your environment of eating is, and how you really need to take personal responsibility for that. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect at it. But in general, the healthier volume of things you do for yourself are going to pay off in a big way. So T-Mom says, hello, I remember you mentioned a colloidal spray drop sold at your center. I have red irritated bottom eyelids over the past week. Would this spray help me? If so, can I just come in to purchase? Yes, we do have what is called Argentyn Silver. This is only available to clinicians, doctors. It's called Argentyn, Argyten, silver. And it comes as a spray bottle. I'll show it to you. I use this all the time. Here it is like this. So this one is the spray, and I can put it in my mouth like that. And, so it's just a spray like this. Sometimes I open my eyes and I just spray my eyes with it. This is a nasal spray of the same thing. So you just use it in that fashion. Might as well be Beyonce. And this is nanoparticulate dispersed, so it's much more effectual than colloidal silver. Colloidal is more in clumps, so it's a little harder to process. And yes, you can just come by and pick this up. Another way I do this, I don't have the bottle here, but well, I do have this. I have Argentyn, if you can imagine, just a bigger bottle. But this is the eyedropper one. And so you could take this and, drop it into your eyes. And you could use as much as you like. It's quite safe. I have seen absolutely no side effects other than healing with this. So I have a bigger bottle. I'll brush my teeth and I'll take a little sip, swish it around, and I swallow it. Now, this I often do. I keep it right here because when I'm seeing patients, and if they have a cold or coughing all these decades, I want to take something that I can, squirt up my nose or spray on my face where I might have, germs or bacteria or viruses, caught up, because I'm always walking around a patient when I'm examining them and listening to their lungs. So I've never had a problem, and I've been able to get near to 70 years old with being very healthy like this. So yes, hopefully that's a help to you, T-Mom. Maxine says, hi, Dr. Rita. Hi back to you, Maxine. Hopefully you're enjoying your new grandbaby. What are your thoughts on oral fluoride treatments? Thank you. I don't like fluoride for any reason. And there are lots of articles, scientific articles, that state that fluoridation of the water, fluoride in your toothpaste, all these things are associated with a toxic gradual impact of lowering your IQ and making you more docile. So this is used actively to help make a human being less of a individual, more of a drone type person. It knocks off iodine, where iodine would work to make your mental acuity, your metabolism, both from your brain to your toe, more focused and centered, whereas fluorine is in the same elemental chart as a halide, and it is bigger. It'll blow out the value of any iodine you might have. And all Americans have a low iodine level. I would say of all the iodine tests that I have done over the decades here, I would say maybe 2 people in, let's see, I've been here at this place 20 years. So 2 people in 20 years have had adequate iodine levels. So I take iodine every day to help my memory as I age. I take iodoral. I take a 12.5 milligram tablet every day, sometimes 2. And I stay away from fluoride whenever I can. There are many studies that show the dental health of people in foreign countries that are outlawing fluoride. They actually have superior teeth surveys. Maybe that's also because they don't have as much sugar readily available, but there is no dental risk benefit to using it, in my opinion. So thank you. Let's see. Doris. Hi, Doris. I'm 80 and been on a low-carb, time-restricted diet for 12 months. Good for you. Went off statins, and within 4 months, your HDL went up to 83, and your LDL went to 116, triglycerides 74. Should I be concerned? I would say no. In general, we like the triglycerides to pretty much match the HDL. If the triglycerides and the HDL are about the same level, it's pretty much unimportant what the other markers, total cholesterol and LDL, are. The fact is, if you Google total cholesterol and age, so if a total cholesterol above 200 for anyone above 70 is associated with a longer life extension. Lower cholesterols than 200 are associated with more mortality and a shortened lifespan. So cholesterol is integral and needed by every one of our cells, not just a little bit, but a lot. We need a lot of cholesterol. In fact, if you don't eat it, your liver will make it. So by eating a low-carb diet, you're eating plenty of cholesterol. This is not turning into plaque. This is going into healthy repair of your cell membranes. Remember, I have this picture right here of the injured cell membrane. See that little hole poke through the cell membrane, that double layer? And then we need to repair it to this nice repaired level so that you can think better, you age slower. So I am not concerned with numbers like that because your triglycerides seem to be at the same range of your HDL. And I'm very proud of those numbers and would compliment you on that. I would recommend you see your doctor. Try and find a doctor who is a functional medicine or integrative doctor. If you can, Doris, go on the YouTube. I would go on YouTube and type in the name Ivor, I-V-O-R, Cumin, C-U-M-M-I-N, and the word cholesterol conundrum. But if you just type in Ivor, he's got like a German Russian name, I-V-O-R, Cumin, C-U-M-M-I-N. You'll see he has many videos about the argument of use of statins and how valuable cholesterol is, and where the real problem is in the hypertriglyceridemia from the high sugars, which are from the high insulin stimulating triglyceride formation and buildup in your fat cells. But look at those videos, find a good doctor, and I think it looks like you're heading in the right direction. Then Deanne. Deanne says, I've been taking Juice Plus, veggies, and fruits since 2000. Wow, that's really great. Is this a good regimen, or should I factor in Vineyard? Well, when they did the study published in the Journal of Cardiology, Deanne, they did a comparison of the fruits and veggies and for vascular damage, irritation from oxidative stress after a period of the limb being exsanguinated with a constricting blood pressure cuff on it. And then after the release of blood flow, all the kind of stress cytokine storm from that arms cell matrix was released into the circulation, creating this vasoactive response. And those people who took the Juice Plus had a tremendous reduction in vascular insult from oxidative stress. So it'd be like if you were having a heart attack and your heart wasn't pumping for a while and you were being resuscitated, you would have better survivability if you were on fruits and vegetables. That's in the Journal of Cardiology under fruit and veggie. It was published around 2006 or 7. Anyway, then they did the same exact test and they added the vineyard with it. So when they added the vineyard compared to the controls, and the controls did all terrible and had a lot of vasospasm and everything, when they added the vineyard, what little area of oxidative stress that the fruits and veggies could not clear up, when the vineyard was added, it resolved it as though there was no 5 minutes of exsanguination at all. And so I would have to say yes, and I would have to say, since it came out in that study, I have used the vineyard as well. So Deanne, I would have to say there is good scientific evidence to say it would be wise to use it. Deborah says, what is the best way kidney stones can be prevented? But also, I have a good friend who has a large kidney stone that cannot pass. Doctors recommend a laser to break up. What are your thoughts? Yeah, a kidney stone will just be a site for accumulation of inflammation, bacteria to lodge onto it, to grow a culture, build up a home for bacteria, viruses, and fungi. So it should be broken up. What is the best way to prevent stones? Water. What's the one thing Americans are not drinking enough of? It's their water. This is your best prevention for kidney stones. And how much? Half of your weight is pounds, taken as ounces every day. So if you're a 200-pound man, you need 100 ounces of water every day. If you're a 180-pound woman, you need 90. If you're 130 pound, 120, you need about 64 ounces a day. So water is the best healing agent along with fasting. So it doesn't cost you anything. I would filter my water. Are there mineral supplements? Yes, probably taking a vitamin C with magnesium is a smart thing to do. The magnesium, it helps to vasodilate, relax smooth muscles. Vitamin C helps with bowel detoxification. We make no vitamin C, so a small amount as an evening drink. I take it as a powder. I take a scoop of vitamin C and a scoop of my magnesium, kind of like as a little hot toddy drink. I don't heat it up, but it's kind of like my relaxation and go to bed kind of signal. So I have a little bit of routines so that mom and dad aren't around anymore, Deborah, to tell me what to do. So I have to have these little rules to try and do it myself. And so Deborah says, ha, 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 funny DC joke. Yeah, it was so cold in Washington, D.C., I saw politicians with their hands in their own pockets for a change. Yeah, that was funny. Lisa says, what are the best supplements to improve brain health or to lessen risk for Alzheimer's? You know, Lisa, it is exercise and a low-carb diet and fasting. So this will cost you nothing. And it will mean everything because that will help your circulation, and that will help with removing the oxidative stress of the typical high carb, sticky, clogging, cell choking, high carb diet. The other thing, though, if you're looking for supplementation, Deanna was just talking about her Juice Plus. And so I use this because of the research on Juice Plus. I use it as my overall anti-aging, slowing my aging down in all myself and my patients, because I've just never seen anything comparatively that stands up to the research. I also use enzymes, systemic enzymes, to eat up any tiny microclots just of daily living, not even to mention preventing microclots from viruses or this vaccine, quote unquote vaccine. So now there are things like vinpocetine. That's a extract from herbs that is associated with mental health. There is ECGC, which is the green tea extract. Caffeine also is good. So I drink plenty of caffeine. So what else would be good? Of course, EDTA chelation therapy. If you can find a doctor who does chelation therapy, that is hands down proven to improve vascular flow, microvascular flow. It's kind of like how they don't want you to hear about ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or the value of vitamin D to help your immune system or anything about your own natural immunity. The way that's suppressed, chelation therapy has always been suppressed because it's such an absolute anti-aging phenomena to do. I've always done it. I didn't do it as much as I did years ago. I did about 60 IVs since I was in my late 40s. And then ever since then, I do about, 4 or 5 every year. And we have studies from the trial to assess chelation therapy run by the NIH. This was done around 1999, I think they started it, and the trial ended around 2010. They did about 1,500 patients. They had a control group, and then they had the treatment group. And what they found is EDTA chelation therapy with certain vitamins had reduced, especially in diabetics, nearly 50% of the post-heart attack incidence and death that standard medical care and therapy was without it. So you could be managed by your cardiologist with all the best intentions, best drugs, statins, ACE inhibitors, aspirin products, anticoagulants, and they actually, especially if you were a diabetic, they did far less better than those who did chelation therapy and some vitamin therapy with it. So if you want to have a clear brain, another aspect would be get on natural hormone replacement therapy. I take my own estradiol cream. I make it here myself. This would be full of my cream, and I get a little clicker, and the white cream comes out, and I put that on my face every day. I take my progesterone. The progesterone comes as a white cream. Testosterone comes as a blue cream, or the capsules of progesterone. So I believe in the value of natural hormone replacement therapy to slow your aging and maintain your mental focus, your energy, your durability, along with a low-carb diet, along with good bedtime hygiene, along with exercise, along with your water, and enzyme therapy, so forth. So hopefully that'll inspire you, Lisa, okay? Hopefully that'll help you. Then Damien says, let's see here, where's my clicker? There it is. Damien says, greetings and blessings, Dr. E. I read a lot about fasting in my Bible. Can you talk about the spiritual and physical benefits of fasting? How often should we fast? Well, fasting is probably one of the best anti-aging things you can do, because when you are not using your gastrointestinal system to work on sorting out the food from the good stuff, from the bad stuff, from bacteria, your immune system is freed up to do surveillance and help the rest of the body out. And then when your blood sugar comes down, then there are human growth hormones. What is a growth or anti-aging hormone, repair hormones. so that that will help extend your life and stimulate T cells and your stem cells, rather, to uh, create whatever cell line that you need. So yes, fasting is very good. Now, how to do it? Well, anything that you start fasting, let's say you're someone who's been eating processed food all the time. For you, if you start fasting, going to a fast food restaurant and just say, from now on, I will cook at home, that's a form of fasting or denial. Now, calorically, you're eating probably the same number of meals, but the concept of self-denial is you're saying no to that processed fast food restaurants, or really any restaurant eating. But true fasting is not eating anything, just having water, black coffee, or you could put butter in your coffee. Technically, putting butter in your coffee makes it a non-fast, but it is really very acceptable because it is barely picked up by your pancreas as food. And we start our patients by asking them to skip one meal a day and to try and narrow their eating into a 6 to 8 hour window. Once you're only eating in a 6 to 8 hour window, then we ask you, if you're comfortable with that, to skip one of those meals. So let's say you're skipping breakfast and you only have lunch at noon and dinner at 6. When you're doing that without any problem, we're going to ask you then to skip lunch one day a week, so that you're going from dinner to the 24th hour to the next dinner on the next day. And so that's one meal a day eating once a week. And then the other days you're just eating in a 6 hour window. Then if you can do that twice a week, if you can do 24 hours without eating twice a week, and the intermittent fasting by just skipping breakfast all the time, then I think you're ready to do 2 days of non-eating in a row, and then maybe easily 3. So if you can go 2 days without food, and the feeling of hunger, that hormone ghrelin that stimulates hunger, is only going to last 4 to 6 minutes roughly. The longest is 8 minutes. So if you can busy yourself, drink water. Some people take a tablespoon or a teaspoon of olive oil if they get hunger. But if you can avoid eating, then what will happen is you'll hit what is like a runner's high. It takes me about 2.5 days to get there. Every time I do a 5-day fast twice a year for repair, anti-aging, immune system, cleansing, weight control, all these things. So there are many, many ways to fast. And it is an understudied, of course. Nobody makes money on looking at healthy things to do that cost no money. It saves you money not to eat. But of the studies that are out there, it is really quite safe, unless you're an insulin-dependent diabetic. You have to be under the care of your physician for this. But it's really one of the most universal healing components in the world. So I would say, for me, and then the spiritual side of it is, I look at the Gospels. I look at Job. Job chapter 23, verse 12 says, I desire the words of his lips more than my necessary food. And then Psalm 23, no, Proverbs 23. Proverbs 23 says, verse 1, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meats. And so, when I'm trying to maybe shed a breakfast month, a birthday month pounds or some holiday weight, I will put these scriptures on the outdoor of my refrigerator, and I put them on the inside of my refrigerator, and just to remind me, to be in charge of this container so that my spirit is in. So I'm going to let my spirit rule. And I make mistakes. And I will forgive myself for that. And if I eat too late, I start, just playing games because mom and dad aren't around. And so the next day, I might fast the whole day. So I'm always buffering myself to try and keep my body in subjection, the way Paul said. And it helps you focus. Once you get to that 2.5 days without eating, really, I go 5 days, 6 days, 7 days without eating. It really lifts me up from some chain that's pulling me. The sirens singing in Greek mythology, you got to eat. Life is fun only with eating. I like to break that siren call, and I like to be in charge. And I just have a habit that whenever I feel ill or run down or sick for any reason whatsoever, I stop eating. I just stop eating, and I'll do it for a day or two. And it gives a resiliency. It gives a peace of heart. So I hope that covers what you're looking for, Damien. Let's see. Sean says, suggested group names. TLC Medical Truth Seekers. Okay. TLC Advocates for Medical Truth and Freedom. TLC Health and Freedom Tribe. I like that, Sean. TLC Health and Freedom Tribe. That'd be THFT. THFT group. So what do you all think of Sean's idea? Give him a thumbs up on that, or if you like it. I like the idea of truth and freedom. We need medical freedom. Benjamin Rush, I believe, was one of the signers on the Constitution. He was a medical doctor, and he really was pushing for another Bill of Rights that put our just like they had religious freedom, medical freedom, and choice. And oh, do we need it now? I have many articles that if I didn't have enough time, I had all these articles I was going to go over. What I'll do is just for fun, I will tell you the last article I started reading today is entitled SARS-CoV-2 Spike Impairs DNA Damage Repair and Inhibits VDJ Recombination in Vitro. So the spike gets into the nucleus, folks, in this article. This is in vitro, and that means this is not in living humans, it's in cell cultures. But we're starting to see that the spike protein gets there and damages the DNA repair mechanisms. So some concern there. And then I just wanted to let you know, I read an article from March 15, 2016. This is almost 6 years ago. March 15th, 2016. And the title of it is called SARS-like Wuhan Institute of Virology 1-CoV poised for human emergence. So back in 2016, Wuhan Institute of Virology 1-CoV poised for human emergence. So they were telling us way back then what was being financed and from your tax dollar. And it says this: the manuscript describes efforts to extend surveillance beyond sequence analysis, constructing chimeric and full-length zoonotic coronaviruses to evaluate emergence potential. The results indicate a significant threat posed by the full-length and chimeric Wuhan Institute Virology number 1-CoV readily replicated efficiently in human airway cultures and in vivo. That means in the living, suggesting capability of direct transmission to humans. Now, I want to tell you at the end of this article, I just want to tell you at the very end of the article, it says, biosafety and biosecurity. reported studies were initiated after the University of North Carolina Institutional Biosafety Committee approved the experimental protocol, project title, Generating Infectious Clones of Bat SARS-like CoV's Lab Safety Plan ID, and they give the number. These studies were initiated before the U.S. government deliberative process research funding pause on selected gain-of-function research involving influenza, MERS, and SARS. And the current paper has been reviewed by the funding agency, the National Institute of Health. Continuation of these studies has been requested and approved by the National Institutes of Health. Acknowledgements. We think Dr. Zhenli Shi, that's the bat lady, of Wuhan Institute of Virology, for access to bat CoV sequences and plasmid of Wuhan Institute Viral 1 CoV spike protein. Research was supported by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease and the National Institute of Aging and the NIH under awards, blah, 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 blah. So this is interesting, and it certainly is not new. Now, you know, another article came out in the British Medical Journal saying Pfizer faked vaccine data in the trials. And this is by the Washington Standard for November 6, 2021. And the staff, you know, there were 153 different sites where they had 44-some thousand people in the phase 3 trials, phase 2 trials. And what happened was the people that were hired to manage these trials saw a series of poor management. The Ventavia staff director Jackson was supposed to do quality control checks, and they were so overwhelmed with adverse reactions, they couldn't keep up with it. And they had poorly trained vaccinators, and they had slow follow-up on the adverse reactions. And they were exposing fake data inputs and blind trial failures. And she reported her concerns to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, but was fired later the same day on the basis that she was not a good fit. I mean, can you believe that? The FDA fires people who are whistleblowers. And that's not an interesting article to publish in the other news media. I find that interesting. Anyway, you'll see that. So what I did is I got the original British Journal of Medicine to actually see the article. And indeed, it's the British Journal of Medicine for 2 November 2021. And the title is COVID-19 Researcher Blows the Whistle on Data Integrity Issues in Pfizer's Vaccine Trial. And it just goes over all of her complaints here: poor laboratory management, worries over FDA inspection. They enrolled 44,000 participants in 153 sites, and they only did follow-up on 9 of those 153 sites, which certainly weren't any of the ones she was supervising. And she said, you know, how patients would pile up in the hallway after injection. They weren't being properly monitored. There was lack of timely follow-up of patients who experienced adverse events. There were protocol deviations not being reported. The vaccines were not being stored at proper temperatures. There were mislabeled laboratory specimens. And then there was targeting of the Ventavia staff for reporting these types of problems. This is the British Journal of Medicine article that just came out. Lots of retractions in the past 2 years. So I thought this was interesting, huge. Italy's suspected COVID death tally. This is reported in Humans Are Free, and the date of this is November 3. And the title of it is, what is it? New medical analysis reduces Italy's COVID-19 death tally by 97.1%. I'm going to read that again. New medical analysis reduces Italy's COVID-19 death tally by 97.1%. Do you remember how the CDC about May of this year said that about 96% of their COVID diagnoses were probably not accurate because of the PCR test? So the new analysis reduced Italy's COVID death by 91%. Only 3,783 cases could be directly correlated with a COVID-19 diagnosis. My heart that science and medicine has become so compromised. And then finally, of course, you've heard about the children. And I brought up last Monday right afterwards, but now I'm starting to see reports of deaths of 12-year-olds within days of getting their second Pfizer shot. And this is reported in the Washington Standard for November 6th. Pfizer COVID shot affects one 12-year-old who dies 2 days after the shot, another 12-year-old in ICU after heart problems. And there's just several articles on the children. But the one that is absolutely irritating to me, and I brought this up last week, was the FDA is an absolute joke. This is a article published in, what is this from? This article is from, I guess this is the health standards also. It reviews, the article is written by Ethan Huff. It's called Global Research, November 2, 2021. And they're talking about all the ties of the members of the board that were consulting for a decision on the 5 to 11-year-olds, all having ties financially, academically, research-wise, to getting their ultimate institutional paychecks from Pfizer-sponsored, big pharma-sponsored institutes. Every single one of them. Here's another one by Children's Health Defense, and it says 17 pharma henchmen who voted to experiment on your kids and how to shun them. This was Children's Health for 1 November 21 when it first came out. So I thought these were interesting pieces of information, especially the 2016 March description of gain of function. So I don't see how Fauci cannot be arraigned for lying to Congress, like Rand Paul is implying. But we'll see. And so let's see. Lake Junalusk 54. I'm taking 835 milligrams of magnesium citrate in capsule form to treat IBS. This has been life-changing for me. Thoughts? I am considering a product seed, a prebiotic, probiotic. What are your thoughts? Well, irritable bowel is kind of like a junk drawer for any kind of gastrointestinal gas, bloating, diarrhea, intermittent constipation. And the number one mineral that is associated with deficiencies in people is magnesium in America. And so to help with elimination and healthy bowel movements and detoxing, this would be a help to you. I certainly think prebiotics and probiotics are very important. I hope this product that you're considering taking is a good product. I think there are things that are over the counter that are questionable, but I can't test them all. So all I can do with our resources is test what we do have and do clinical studies on them, and then we can assure our patients of their value. But yes, probiotics, mineral replacement, but then there's food allergies. Find out what your blood type is. Find out if you have food allergies, both the slow IgG and the fast-acting IgE, which can create the itching and highs, but the slows never do. The slow reactions will just generate the loose versus constipation and the bloating. So you might want to find that out. One of the ways people do it without testing is what they call an elimination diet, where they take all grains out for, let's say, a week, and they see if they feel better. If they do, they've got checked, this is a problem for them. Then they try eliminating all dairy for a week, and if they feel better. And those are the two most common that are really out there as a problem. Secondarily would be probably tomatoes. And notice these are the most common things marketed to us at the fast food restaurants. So I would eat your cell membrane in your gut is one cell membrane thick, and the membrane's made of fat and protein. So we need our fats. We need healthy saturated fats. We need our egg yolks. We need our meat. We need our chicken with the skin on it, and so forth. So try and find a good functional doctor in your area. You could go to acam.org. acam.org is acam.org. And you can find a doctor in that organization by typing in your zip code. And they typically will know what I'm talking about. So that might be a help to you. Marcia says, having just had COVID, how much can I reduce my supplements that I took prior to getting sick? Reduce your supplements. Well, I would think now would be a time that you would want to be having a better defense, Marcia, making sure your D is up there, your zinc is up there, your vitamin C is up there. I can't tell you specifically, Marcia, because I can't leave this site and go to your patient chart and look it up. You can make a phone call, and then I can try and look it up by you calling, and that'll bring your name up, and I will look at that as well. I'm glad you're doing well. All my patients did well. I didn't have a single patient die. Nobody, to my knowledge, was hospitalized. We had just no problems this year, other than everyone losing their mind with fear for every little sniffle they had, and then all the extra call and work it brought to me. So I just want to say I'm very, I have healthy questions about what they're calling the treatment and their recommendations and so forth. All right, Carol says, I have a friend who has allergy to apples. Wow. She feels Juice Plus fruits would not be good for her to take. Any thoughts? Yes, the Juice Plus is really not it is the micronutrient density that you're getting from the apple. So it's not like you're getting a big whole honking apple there. So I think it's quite safe. And since I've been practicing for 20 plus years using Juice Plus, and I am the queen of doing food allergies, I have never seen Juice Plus, and I give it to everybody, and I do the food allergy. It's just not a problem. So I would just reassure the micronutrients are what we're talking about in Juice Plus. It doesn't have the food signature impact of the exterior, the lectins that cause food allergies. Okay. Let's see. Carol says, after my husband gets his COVID test, I have him spray Argentin up his nose. Smart thing to do. I'm all in favor of that. 6 Million says, what is your opinion on terrain theory? Is it a bunch of mumbo jumbo, or is there some validity to it? Some seem to completely deny any form of contagious disease. Very strange. I believe there's a virus, but I think it's potentially a virus with a engineered spike protein that fits the definition for a bioweapon. And I do believe that the terrain, you have to be a person who is easy to invade. And those are people who have a higher body mass, overweight, with hypertension, and anxiety actually was the second of the two big risk factors. And so your vitamin D level has to be probably low. Your zinc levels are low. So if you're eating the standard American diet, and you're not taking any supportive supplementation, if you think the sunshine is enough for your vitamin D, I can tell you my Newport Beach, California lifeguard young guys don't have enough vitamin D, and they're out in the sun all the time. So yeah, I think the terrain does have information, and we're seeing the evidence of this. So there you go. Carol says, Dr. Peter McCullough recommends hydroxychloroquine for the Delta variant instead of ivermectin. I don't think he prefers one over the other. I think a doctor will tend to recommend what they have the most clinical experience with. And if that's what his clinical experience is with, he's going to stick with it. I have clinical experience with both, and I think they're both fine. If I had an edge, I think in a horse race, I think maybe the ivermectin would win by a nose on a line, but I think they're both great. EH says, hello, doctor. How can someone get enough fat in diet if appetite isn't big, especially for skin issues like patches of inflamed, itchy, scaly skin if the person is low-carb diet, systemic enzymes, and DHIS? I would get the clinician's parent essential oils that we have here that Dr. Peskin, Peskin, has developed for us. So we have the linolac, alpha-linolac, and I would take a little drop of it and I would put it on top of wherever these patches are. And that parent essential oil, you could take, a sip of it twice a day, and you should do very, very well. Butter everything. I butter my steaks even. So that should help you. EH says, can you please give examples of food? Well, you got to eat the fat on your chicken, free range, of course. Prairie, I would eat, fatty fish. Even though they're bigger, we can always chelate out any mercury. I would eat, like the salmon. I would eat the tuna, swordfish. They're full of healthy fats. I would eat a lot of crustaceans. I would eat the egg yolks with the egg. I would eat raw cheeses. I would butter everything almost that I ate. I would eat the fatty meats. I would eat organ meat. I like bratwurst. I'll take that bratwurst and on a slice, and it has like a little band around it because it comes in a tube, and I just slice it, and I'll put a dollop of mayonnaise on it, and that's the fat. So there's ways to do it. There's 9 calories in a gram of fat. There's 4 in protein and carbohydrates. So you got to take your oils. You could drink your coffee and your tea with a tablespoon or 2 of butter in it. Those are all healthy ways to do it. So you can make butter balls with protein shakes and cocoa powder and maybe some stevia or some peanut butter, and roll these up as a little tasty treat, not very high in carbs. So maybe that'll help you, EH. Kate says, my mom received her booster shot and is now experiencing extremely high blood pressure with a top of 200. Does this ring any bells with reported adverse reactions to the vaccine? Yes. Yeah, she's having tiny microclots. She should see her doctor for that blood pressure or go to the ER, especially if she's having systolics in that range. And I would have her drink water and fast, and I would put her on Vitalzyme, a systemic enzyme, 3 times a day, 5 capsules 3 times a day of Vitalzyme, and the water and magnesium. You could mix that with vitamin C in the water. And EDTA chelation is, there is some good evidence suggesting that it can remove spike protein. And so, but get her to the ER if her systolic is 200 and have her see her doctor. 6 Million says, is it okay for toddlers and younger children to be on a 2-meal diet, given that 2 meals are high in fat, nutrient dense? Well, I would say yes, because all of history shows that children have done very, very well, and even in Somalia and Ethiopia, very often their meals only come once a day, if at that, out of charity. So you can do well with that. But in general, I do like the idea of nibbling for toddlers and stuff, so that they can learn about texture. You know, a coffee, what is it called? A cupcake pan. If you have, a cupcake pan with 12 things, or a half a tray, 6 things, and you put some cauliflower in one, carrots in the other, celery, green beans. You could put chunks of cheese cubes in one. You could put a strawberry in another. You could put a raspberry in another. And these children can get texture and exposure that way. That's kind of fun to help them with that. So, but I think you're going to do fine if you do a 2 meal a day with them as well. They're going to do fine. But I would certainly recommend Juice Plus for the children. So I would get you on Juice Plus, the capsules, and you could put gummies in there as well for them. Okay, so let's see. JC7, hello, Dr. E. God bless you, and thank you for all your time. I typed in last week and mentioned about my mom and the resections of the small bowel cancer and gallbladder removal in short. What is your opinion on bile salts, enzymes, and probiotics together? Absolutely, yes. And then that orthobiotic that we have from Orthomolecular has all of that in there. The bile and the enzymes and the betaine hydrochloric acid. The probiotics I have separate from that because I usually have to adjust those. But yes, I'm all very much in favor of that, JC7. Very good. Deborah Vishula says TLC Health and Freedom Seekers. Okay, TLC Health and Freedom Seekers. Health and Freedom, yeah. That's a good one. What do you think of, folks, what Deborah said versus, I think, who is that had the other one up here? That was, who was it that had the other one? Oh, Sean up there, Sean Espinoza. Yeah. So why don't we have a little contest between Sean and Deborah on their suggestions, and let me know. And then we'll announce it next week. All right. Garden Fairy 351. What is the best form of zinc to get? It's a chelated form rather than an oxide. So you want zinc glycinate, zinc picolinate, zinc with attached to glycine, those kind of things. So those are amino acid chelates. And you want to look and see if it says Albion. Albion is the best mineral amino acid chelator for better absorption. So hopefully that helps you, Garden Fairy. Marcia says, oops, you skipped my question above, the Lake Junaluska question. Oh, let me get that, Marcia. Let me see what that was. Marcia. I don't see it. I'm missing it. Can you ask it again? Marcia, I'm looking for you. Marcia. Oh, Lake Junaluska, is that the one? No, right under that, Marcia Potness. No, I saw that one, Marcia. I'm sorry, you'd have to type it again. I'm not that adept at doing that. All right, let's see. And lastly, let's see, Andre Arens. Hello, I'm a patient at TLC regarding COVID vaccinations. Do you write medical exemptions? Well, let me state it this way. There is no approved vaccination out there, FDA approved, that you can get. It's all experimental, FDA emergency use authorization, because the Comirnaty is not available. So they're doing kind of like a bait and switch here. So So what I would say is they have not disclosed what's in their vaccinations, and there's enough concern about the grave number of injuries and deaths that we would say as physicians, we take an oath to do no harm, and the Nuremberg Oath and the International Criminal Courts and the treaties on biological war and weaponry all require that we be open and transparent and be able to give you good advice, but it can't be given because there's too much conflict of very reputable physician, researchers, lawyers worldwide now. It's just too murky a water to, with any confidence, for a good doctor to, with good conscience, feel that they're giving you informed consent. So because it's impossible to give informed consent with all this, therefore we say to our patients, here, we will say so-and-so is a patient of mine who is not to receive vaccinations for medical reasons. And the medical reason is we can't give you informed consent. And so, yes, I do that. All right, folks, we went over a little bit today, 7:17. So we're going to say, leave some comments at the end, like and subscribe, and let's get a little challenge going with whether Deborah Vachulis's TLC Health and Freedom Seekers versus Sean Espinoza's TLC Medical Truth Seekers, TLC Advocates for Medical Truth and Freedom, TLC Health and Freedom Tribe. I like the tribe there, Sean. So, Debbie, I know you're my sister, but I think I'm going to go with Sean. All right. God bless and keep you all. And we'll see you Wednesday at 9:45, and hopefully we can have some discourse and share. All right. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.